Do you know how many mobile phones are dumped each day in China? Each day, there are 274,000 of mobile phone waste being produced. When we sum it up, it's 100 million of phone waste per year. In addition, China contributes to a quarter of the global mobile phone waste production. So what about Hong Kong then? Sadly, we don't have any data regarding this, because Hong Kong doesn't have a specific category of e-waste called mobile phone waste. But there's one thing certain, Hong Kongers do change their phones a lot. Think about the last time since you purchased a phone. It's not long ago, right? You may wonder why it happens. Well, it's because of the consumer's pursuit for fashionable appearance and the advanced functionality of the new mobile phone. And a side note, the surface life of mobile phone has markedly decreased, which is 8 to 12 months for an average mobile phone, which further encouraged the purchase of new phones. So what do we do about the increasing waste? In fact, we have rechargeable batteries recycling program, electronic equipments recycling program, and we also promote recycling program to the public. But are these effective? Not so, and more has to be done. Let's take a look at what other countries have done. In Switzerland, under the guidance of Swiss Association for Information, Communication and Organization Technology and the ordinance, the return, the taking back, and the disposal of electrical and electronic equipment, producers have to pay for the financial resources for collection, recovery, and the final disposal of waste mobile phones. You think the consumers don't have to pay? Well, they have to in Switzerland, and they do so by paying the recycling fee at the time of the purchase of their phones or by paying a disposal fee as they return their used mobile phone through the system. Perhaps it's time to take a look at some Asian countries. In Korea, the regulation, Extended Producer Responsibility, stipulates that producers have to pay a deposit to the government every year, and how much can they be refunded depends on the actual amount of waste that they recycled. To encourage consumers to turn in their phones, they offer the consumers a trade-in value when the consumers give them the waste mobile phone. Do you notice the similarities in these projects? They've all set some regulation to outline the responsibilities of the stakeholders, who are, apparently, the producers and the consumers. Still remember the refundable deposit and the trade-in value for mobile phone waste? They also take it further by imposing some financial incentive, and these practices are worth learning. But are they feasible in Hong Kong? To introduce a new regulation, the bill has to pass through 3 readings in the LegCo. The first reading is just a formal introduction of the bill, where the clerk reads out the short title of it. In the second reading, debate is allowed. If the bill is controversial or complicated, a bills committee will be formed to scrutinize it. After the debate, members will have to vote. If the motion is positive, it will proceed to the third reading. Otherwise, it won't proceed further. Finally, in the third reading, there will also be a debate, and if the motion is positive, the passage of the bill in the LegCo is completed. If not, no further actions will be taken on the bill. Lastly, for the bill to be effective, it has to be signed and proclaimed by the chief executive. Now that you know the procedures involved in passing a bill, does it sound time-consuming to you? In fact, the time needed for a bill to be passed depends greatly on the complexity of it. Some may take days, while some may take a year. To show the feasibility of passing a bill related to the responsibilities of the stakeholders in mobile phone waste, why don't we take a look at a similar case? Do you know that Hong Kongers produce 8 billion of plastic bag waste a year, even back in 2005? That's a tremendous amount of waste. To tackle this, the government proposed a plastic shopping bag levy scheme. It took 10 months for it to pass through the LegCo. Considering the coverage of the scheme, we would say that it's quite efficient. But sometimes it could take years before the bill is passed to the LegCo since its inception. As a Hong Konger, you sure remember the debate over municipal solid waste charging scheme in society, right? The scheme is finally gazetted in November 2018. Now, let's make a guess. How long does it take for it to get to the ledge cove? 3 years, 7 years, or 14 years? For those who pick 14 years, you're right, and that's merely because of its complexity. People think that this could greatly increase their financial burden. In the scheme, it is estimated that it will cost a 3-person family $33 to $51 a month to get the designated bags for disposal, which amounts to around $500 per year for discarding household waste. But this may not be direct comparable to assume the efficiency of passing a bill regarding mobile phone waste, because contrary to this, if consumers are to pay their recycling fee at the time of the purchase or disposal, like what the Koreans do, it would only be in one-off payment. Since it's not a recurring charge, citizens may be more susceptible to this and that it may be able to get in the ledge cove faster. What about the financial incentive then? Is it feasible in Hong Kong? Of course it is. Although there isn't any sound mobile phone recycling program, does it mean that all the phones will just go straight to the landfill? No. Bits of the waste mobile phone will still be reused. And the reason is simple. Would you rather keep all the waste phones at home, or would you rather sell it to the repairing shops? See? It's almost a human instinct to seize every chance to earn that extra money. And after selling the phones, the shops would dissect the phones and identify the reusable parts. So it never hurts to impose some financial incentive. As for the producers, the practice in Korea has its merits. What is it then? Let's have a quick recap. The producer there have to pay the government a deposit, and the amount refunded depends on how much phones can be recycled. By doing this, it motivates the producer to recycle as much as they can. But can it be implemented in Hong Kong? It's sad to say, but without a sound recycling program, how can the producers recycle and get back the deposit? With that aside, we as an individual can also help alleviate the problem. Think about this. What causes you to buy a new phone? Is it because you want to keep up with the trend? Or is it because of the fact that your phone has broken down? By buying phones only when it's necessary can already improve the situation a whole lot. Still hesitating? Don't be. Join us and reduce waste at source today.